So you tried replacing the Unreal 5.6 third-person character with a Mixamo model, and this happened? Yeah, that's not right. That's why today we're fixing it. I'm going to walk you step by step through the retargeting system in Unreal 5.6 so your Mixamo character can use all the third-person template animations. No more mismatched skeletons or broken poses. This video is thanks to a request from Bonamors, who commented on my previous tutorials about replacing the default Mannequin with a Paragon character, pointing out that the method doesn't work with Mixamo character. I appreciate the comment and the chance to keep improving this channel. So here's the solution. Before we dive in, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss not only Unreal Engine tips and tutorials, but also strategies, inspiration, and proving methodology to guide your game dev journey. And if you want to go beyond just technical skills, visit Woolen.com to learn more about the Game Creator Accelerator, my lifetime access mentorship program where we combine the skills you need with the strategy to build a real lasting career in the gaming industry. Because technical skills are only half of the equation. The other half is the methodology, strategy, community, and mentorship that will help you create a lasting career. You can even start right now with our free training, How to Become a Game Changer Video Game Creator after your daily job. Alright, let's jump into Unreal Engine 5.6, set up our Mixamo character and get it fully retarget so it works seamlessly with the third-person template animations. To start this process, the first thing is understand what is the error. I created a third-person template in Unreal 5.6. Second, I went to Mixamo and downloaded a character like this one. To download it, just download and download. Now let's create in our project a folder to handle this orderly. Content, let's add a new folder called Games, and inside that one, another called Mixamo. Let's drag inside the project the character that we just downloaded. Don't change any default settings, just click Import. Let's create another folder for the animations. And now let's try and retarget these animations from the third-person template character of Unreal. In the folder characters, go to Mannequin, Animations, and look for the unarmed animations. Now let's pick any of these. I'm going to take the walk, right-click in one of the animation sequences, retarget animation, select the source skeletal as the SQueen Mannequin or SQM Queen Simple, and the other will be the Vanguard, which is the skeletal mesh of the character that we imported from Mixamo. If you try and play any of these animations, they look pretty good. Still, you have to fix some elements for a retarget, but in general, they look pretty good. Now I'm going to select all these animations with Ctrl A and click Export Animations. Let's go to the folder that we designed for the animations. I'm going to call this ThirdPerson to Mix for the prefix and export. Export. Now we have an entire folder with animations. Let's go and try some of them. What you'll see here is an effect that you don't want to happen. Look at the animation, it makes no sense. It has some problems with the pelvis. This problem is really related to the root component on the skeletal mesh. If you go to the skeletal, you will see that we don't have root component. If we go to our project and the third-person character, which is the default character that we use, and let's look for the skeletal mesh, and we open the skeletal mesh, and inside it, the skeletal, you will see that the first bond in the entire structure is a root, which is different than in the case of the Vanguard, which started with the hip. If we decided to take the BP third-person character that by default is created in the project and change the skeletal mesh to Vanguard and use the anim class that we also created at the moment of retargeting the animations. So let's select here this, which is the one that we created. It looks good here, but if we compile, save, and try to play with our new character and move, look that the movement is kind of clunky and is centered on the pelvis. This is wrong. So I'm going to start by removing all these animations. Back to our original character, and in the animation folders, select all these animations and delete them. Once you finish the deletion process, it's a good practice to get into that folder, right-click and select Update Redirectors References. Back to our skeleton on the character that we downloaded from Mixamo, I need to add a new bone. And to add a new bone, you need to be able to edit your skeletal mesh. Back to the demonstration village, go to Edit, Plugins, and look for Skeletal Mesh Editing Tools. This is the tool that you need to have enabled. If you don't have it, enable it and restart your project. Now click on the skeletal mesh, select this option to the left which says Skeleton, and select the option of Edit Skeleton. To the right in the skeleton tree, close the entire group of skeletons you have at this moment, right-click on an empty space and select New Bone. Go to the top, close the hips, and then drag the hips inside the new bone you created. And now go to the bone you just created, right-click, and rename it Root. It is important to confirm that the root location will be in the transform in location 000 and rotation 000. And now you can see also that you have the root on the bottom and then the hips on the hips where it should be. Now click Accept, and in the Merge type, select Merge, Merge All, and Commit. In my case, I presented with a crash report. Set and restart. Let's recover all the packages that we can and restore selected. I reopen my skeletal mesh, go to the editing tools, a skeleton, edit a skeleton, accept all, new, merge, and merge all. Now everything works. I have to say that I've tried this twice, and in both cases I needed to do this 2 times. At this moment, I don't know why it's presenting this problem, but I guess it's a bug in Unreal 5.6. Now let's back to the skeletal. And you can see that the root element of the entire bone structure is the root, just as it is in the SK Mannequin. Look here, the root, and then the pelvis. I'm going to save my changes here as well. And now let's try again retargeting the animations. Go to the characters, Mannequin, animations, on arm, and let's go to the walk animation. Select any of them, right click, retarget animations. The source skeletal mesh is of course this one, and the other will be the Vanguard BTT Chonyu. Select them, and here we have them. If we pick any animation, you can see like before it is working. Now let's select all the animations, export animations, and as we did a moment ago, select the animations folder and say ThirdPerson to Mixamo as a prefix and export. Now let's take any of these animations, in particular one where the character is moving forward. Let's say this one. And now you can see that the animation is working properly. The character is moving because now we have the root bone. Let's go back to our project, and now let's change the blueprint, the default blueprint that we have for a third-person project. Open the blueprint. In the skeletal mesh, select now the Vanguard, and in the animation class, pick the new animation that we just imported, which is, I think we have 2 of them. I'm gonna say is this one. If it's not this one, is the other. Let's compile, save, and let's check. Here is our character. Yeah, it's not the other. Let's go to the BP third person character. And let's select this animation. Compile, save, and let's try it now. Now our character is working properly. And it was a character that we imported directly from Mixamo. And we are using the animations that are by default in the third person project of Unreal 5.6. Now I want to add something else that could be another question that you ask yourself. When we make the retargeting, let's say that we take this on arm and do the retargeting animation, and you select the other character, and you might feel that the animations are not exactly in sync, or something in, I don't know, the position or the hands or anything that could be happening during the animations. You feel like this is not exactly well, this is not correct, and you need to make some changes. It's because you auto-generate the retargeter. Now you can generate your own retargeter and make the perfect synchronization between these two skeletons. To do it, first let's go to our Mixamo character, and here I'm going to create an inverse kinematic. Right click, go to animations, retargeting, and select IK rig. Let's call this IK rig Vanguard. Open it, and the previous skeletal mesh will be your Vanguard. And here is your skeletal. Thanks to the great tools that is provided to us in Unreal 5.6, I can auto-create the IK, and I can also auto-create retarget chains. Here is our entire structure, but notice that we don't have the change related to root. Hold this thought for a second. Now let's go to our characters on the arm folder, right-click, select animation, retargeting, IK, and in this case I'm going to create another IK called Mannequin, or something like that. I think that the name is something like that. Open your new IK rig, and in this case we're going to use SKM Queen Simple. And again, auto create IKs and auto retarget chains. But in this case, look that we have the root and then we have the spine. Look to the left that we also have the root, and the retarget chain is root. Different to the IK Vanguard, where root doesn't have a retarget chain. To add the retarget chain for root, right-click and select New Retarget Chain. These default values are going to be perfect. So, add chain. Now we can go to the bottom, and you have root, 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 and known. And the name of this root and the name here in the retarget chain is the same as we have in the IK Mannequin. Let's save this one, save the IK for the Vanguard, and now let's create our retargeter. You can later add another folder just for the retargeters. In this moment, I'm going just to right-click, animation, retargeting, IK retargeter. And let's call this one retargeter from Mannequin to Mixamo. I like to give these names because they're very clear. I'm retargeting from Mannequin to Mixamo. This is how this retargeter is going to work. If I have to, in the future, to make a retargeter for another source of characters or animations, I can do the retargeter for that particular case. Open the retargeter, select the source that in our case will be the IK Mannequin, and the target, which will be the IK Vanguard. Let's move backwards. Immediately you can see the differences between these two poses, and this is why it can create some not perfect animation when you retarget an animation and move it to the other character. To fix that problem, we're going to edit the position of the bones for the target, in this case our Vanguard. Let's get a bit closer, and then you can see at this moment that you have the running retarget. Click on it so you can move to the editing retarget pose. And now select the bone that you wish to change. In my case, I want to first lower the left arm. And let's keep the snap for the rotation. so I can have more control. One, okay, I'm moving it around 50 degrees. Now let's go to the other side, and I'm going to move it as well 50 degrees. This is looking closer. Now let's go to one of the sides, and you can see that the original arm for the mannequin is a bit bent. Let's go to the left, and now I'm going to move the left forearm and moving it a little bit. Let's say something around 30 degrees. It's looking better. And now let's go to the other side and do something similar. So right forearm, and let's move it 30 degrees. Of course, you can adjust everything as much as you can. I'm just making some changes, but the final goal should be that it looks as similar as possible in terms of the position to the original character or the original element that was animated. You can see as well that we have the fingers. You can go finger by finger until you have exactly the same position. And in the case of the feet, I think they're a bit more separated. So let's go to the feet. Well, it will be the legs, in fact. And let's try separate them a little bit. Oh, that's too much. I think that in the case for the feet, I have to do it maybe snapping 1 degree and see how many degrees we need. Even, oh, no, I didn't take it. Yeah, I can't do the rotation for, I'm sorry, I mistake the translation with the rotation, my bad. So let's see if we can move it 5 degrees, and if that's going to work. No, it's even too much. So what I will do is I'm going to remove the snap for the rotation and trying to place it in a good position. Yeah, I think it will be around 1 degree. So I'm going to write here directly the 1 degree, and then I'll go to the left and I'm going to rotate it minus 1 degree. Perfect. Now it's looking much better. So the two characters are looking better. They are not perfect, but I want to express how is that you are going to fix any other position. When you think it's finished, go to the running retarget, and now you can select, in fact, one of the characters. Let's say that I want to move the vanguard to one side so I can see the animations, not one over another. And we have the source mesh offset. So let's move this parameter. Oh, no, I don't want to move the source. In fact, I want to move the target. So I'm going to move the target to one side and looking good. And now I can test as well the animations. Let's say this one. And I forgot to do something else. Why this is not working is pretty simple. I have to add default ops. Click here, and now you have both animations running. And to remove these weird debug lines, just uncheck this debug draw, and now you can see your animations. And in fact, you can check how things are working. This is what I was saying about the hands. Look how the hands here are very close and here are kind of open. That's because they retargeted, that we have to go to the details of this hand in terms of the position and make it, this hand and make it as similar to these ones. If you want to continue the process, you can go to the editing and then trying to make the hands as similar as possible between them. Then you save your retarget. Once your retarget is done, then you can go to any of the animations of the, let's say, on arm and the walk. Let's select the animation sequence for walking, retarget again, select the vanguard. But now instead of selecting an auto-generated retargeter, you can select your retargeter, which should be more precise than the ones that Unreal creates or auto-generate by itself. It should be. And then you can test and of course export the animations when you feel that everything is ready. That will guarantee that the animations will look exactly how you want it to look. And that's it. Your Mixamo character is now fully retargeted and working perfectly with the third-person template animations in Unreal Engine 5.6. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss future Unreal Engine tutorials, strategies, and inspiration for your game dev journey. Don't forget to comment. Your thoughts and support are important to me and to this channel. And remember, if you want to go beyond just technical skills, visit woolen.com to learn more about the Game Creator Accelerator, my lifetime access mentorship program where we combine the skills you need with the methodology, strategy, community, and mentorship to help you create a lasting career. You can start today with our free training, How to Become a Game Changer Video Game Creator After Your Daily Job. So what are you waiting for? Until next time, keep creating, keep sharing, and most importantly, keep dreaming big. I'll see you soon, my fellow creators.